Good evening, boys and girls. The topic for this lesson is slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is a way to write linear equations to make graphing a lot easier. So the first thing I want you to put for your is the topic, slope-intercept form. And then put that the slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. You need to know that. Y equals mx plus b. So first let's identify what M stands for and what the B stands for. These are the two things that make graphing a lot easier when an equation is in this form. So M, that's right in front of your X, is the slope. Okay, gives you your rise or your fall and your run. And then B is your y-intercept. Your y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis, the vertical axis. And this is why this form is called slope-intercept form. When it is in this form, it's easy to identify the slope of the line and the y-intercept of the line. So looking at these two equations, we're going to identify the slope and the y-intercept. Okay? We're going to find the slope, which is right in front of your x. So the slope for this linear equation is -3. Then your y-intercept is at the end of the equation. And since it is adding 4, your slope is a positive, or your y-intercept, sorry, is a positive 4. If it had subtracting, it would be negative. So addition makes it a positive y-intercept. Subtraction makes it a negative y-intercept. Let's try another one. We have y equals 3/4 x minus 9. Do you think you know what the slope and the y-intercept is? Let's see if you're right. The slope is right in front of the x. So our slope for this line is 3/4. And our y-intercept is at the end. Since it is subtracting 9, our y-intercept is -9. Okay, so now that we know how to find our slope and our y-intercept when a linear equation is in slope-intercept form, let's write an equation in slope-intercept form when given the slope and the y-intercept. So when you're given your slope and y-intercept, all you're going to do is plug them in where they go in the equation. So on this one, we have our number 1, our slope is -1. So I'm going to put -1/2 in front of the x. And since b is +10, then I'm going to put +10. And then everything else, the y equals and the x are always the same. So y equals -1/2 x plus 10 is our equation. Let's try another one. So we have y equals 3x, and then since this is -8, we'll put subtracting 8 in our equation. So the slope, or the equation for this is y equals 3x minus 8. All right. So now let's learn how to use this for graphing. Okay, so first, or go ahead and write down the steps for graphing. You might want to pause the video to have enough time to do that. But number 1, the step 1 is you are going to find the slope and the y-intercept, which is the first thing we learned about. So you'll identify your slope, go ahead and write it down, put m equals your slope, and then put b equals and put your y-intercept. Number 2, then you're going to graph the y-intercept on the y-axis. Okay, so on the vertical axis, you will put that point first. Then you're going to use your slope to plot other points. You'll use your slope to count your rise and your run and put more points, or your fall and your run to put more points. Okay, it's good to have at least 3 points. 3, 4, 5 is a good number of points to have. And then you're going to draw a line through your points. And use a straight edge, a ruler if you have one. You can also use the side of your notebook or your binder. Okay, so let's try graphing number 1. We have y equals 1/2 x minus 3. Okay, so first we're going to find the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, my slope is always right in front of my x. We're going to remind ourselves what slope-intercept form is. Y equals mx plus b. Remember, m is always in front of x, so our slope is 1/2. And then our y-intercept is -3. Okay, since they're subtracting 3, it's -3. Let's graph the y-intercept. So I'm going to start at the origin and graph -3 on the y-axis. So I'll go down 1, 2, 3 and put a point there. Then, third step, you use your slope to plot more points. My slope is 1/2. So I will rise 1 and run 2. So rise 1, run 2, and put a point right there. Then rise 1, run 2. So I have 3 points, and you're coming to the end of your graph. Now you can, since you have more room to the left side of your graph, you can now fall 1 and go to the left 2. As long as you're doing the opposite of both, it will keep that linear relationship. And then my last step is to draw a line through the points. So I'll line up my ruler, and I'm drawing my line all the way through the graph, and I put arrows at the end. Okay, don't just connect the dots, draw it all the way through and put arrows at each end of your line. All right, let's try one more. Okay, so first step, identify your slope and your y-intercept. Put B. Okay, slope is right in front of your x, and so that is -3. And your y-intercept is at the end, and since it's adding 2, your y-intercept is +2. Second, I'm going to graph my y-intercept, so I'll start at the origin, and I'm going to graph 2. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, and put a point right there. Step 3, use your slope to plot more points. So my slope is -3. Anytime your slope is an integer, you just put it over 1. So since that's negative, that means I will fall 3, 1, 2, 3, and run 1. So go over 1. So I went down 3 and over 1. I'm going to do that again. Go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and over 1. Okay? Since I went down and to the right, I can also go up, rise 3, 1, 2, 3, but I have to go to the left 1. And it keeps that line. Then you use your straight edge. Line it up along your points. Draw your line all the way through. And last, put your arrows. And that is how you use slope-intercept form for graphing. Have a good evening. Write down any questions that you have, and we will address them first thing tomorrow. Bye-bye.